Hey everyone, today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, Reiki and Quantum Physics. This is the first video I'm doing in this series. I will continue to do Reiki and Quantum Physics videos as we go because I love how the two intermingle, shall we say. So let's get started. First, to lay the groundwork, we've been talking about Reiki in my previous videos and its nature. We've talked about Ki as being a universal energy force that is present in all things. So that would be a term like omnipresent. Omni meaning everywhere or every or all, and present meaning being in a place. Reiki is in all places. I know it's something that's typically reserved for the gods, but here we are. Ki, the idea of Ki or Chi, is that it lives in balance with itself, and all things live in balance with each other. Now, that isn't always the case, of course, as there can be chaos and discord, but when there is a balance that can bring things to rightness. And with the universal forces, they are kept in balance as well. So Ray would be that optimal balance, that true way for things to go that they do. Things like the electromagnetic force, gravity, strong, weak nuclear force, all of these things always act in perfect balance with themselves, except maybe with gravity and like black holes and stuff like that. So hang on to that. We're gonna lay down the groundwork for the quantum entanglement that we'll be talking about. So quantum, what does quantum mean? Well, quantum is really just a fancy scientific word for information. So the information of matter. The information of matter that we're going to be talking about today in terms of quantum entanglement is an electron, which hopefully you all are already familiar with. So entanglement is a fancy little process that our scientists know where they take two electrons in this case, and they use a very fancy array of lasers and crystals and other scientific things whose names I'm not really clear on, and they zap the two particles and essentially attune them with each other. They pair them with each other. So what does that mean? Well, you can take these two paired particles that they use all that fancy schmancy science to link up, and you can put one in China and one in Amsterdam and tell one to spin, whoop, 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 and the other will spin immediately with no cables between them, with no way for them to physically talk to each other. They've literally put these things in like lead-lined boxes to prevent any radiation that the electrons could possibly be giving out from reaching the other one in any way, shape, or form, even at light speed. Even at light speed. What does that mean? It means you could take this particle and put it on the west end of the Milky Way, and you could take the other one and put it on the east end of the Milky Way, spin one, and the other would spin automatically with no communication outright between them, with millions of light years between them. Okay, so you basically have the idea. It's instantaneous communication between these two particles, instant resonance and recognition of data exchanged between both of them. Now, quantum scientists and engineers have been racking their brains about this for literal decades. I used to study this quite a bit back in my young sprightly days, particularly in college. And my understanding was that the biggest theory that we had to connect these two particles in this example, was string theory. And string theory was the idea that invisible strings that are hyperdimensional in nature, that is, they extend beyond the third and fourth dimension that we typically inhabit, the three dimensions being length, width, and height, and then the fourth dimension arguably being time-space. these strings connected everything, and you pluck one and it plucks all the way down with the vibration of it, and that's how it was happening. It's my understanding that string theory is not the juggernaut that it used to be in the scientific field. I feel like, at least from what I understand, it's kind of fallen by the wayside in lieu of the study of quantum computing, which I understand is a bit more, shall we say, profitable. However, what I do know is that when I was studying these things, scientists were up to about 14 dimensions studying the nature of these quantum particles and how they could be being affected. So length, width, height, time, space, 10 more up is where they were at. And that was like 15 years ago when I was looking into it. So God knows what they're up to now. So why am I telling you all this? Personally, I think the energy that holds these things together is ki. Now, ki is the vital force of Reiki, and it flows through life and matter, and even matter that stands still, because you have what looks like solid, stable, still, quiet matter, but looked into with very powerful microscopes, you see that the electrons and neutrons that make it up are rapidly oscillating around. The powers that regulate this are the laws of the universe, which I mentioned before, things like strong, weak, nuclear force, electromagnetic force, gravity, and I'm not saying that ki is just spontaneously manifesting as matter, although I think that's a possibility. I think that the idea of ki, or what we can conceive of as chi, that is the balance of the vital forces that energize the universe and life itself, those are inherent in the laws of the universe, in that we can perfectly see that, disregarding occasional times when we poke at these forces with a stick, like an atom bomb or something like that, these forces are stable, and they remain stable as an inherent property of the universe. Almost like the math that governs them is written into the very foundation of the universe, the very fabric of the universe. And I think that fabric that I'm talking about, where it's written in, is the nature of ki itself. Now, I think that there could be forces deeper than ki, than the energy, and Rei, which is sort of the divine wisdom that guides these things. That being said, that's not what I really cover in these videos, because I think if you're going to that point, like what could be governing ki itself, I think you start getting into metaphysics and religion. I dabble with metaphysics here and there in this channel, but in terms of religion, I think if you're really getting into what is the mind, or what is the consciousness of the all of everything, then you're getting into things like Brahman and God and Allah and Yahweh and all the judgmental forces that humans believe govern the world. And in my approximation, ki itself is not really judgmental. It just connects. It just connects everything, and it doesn't judge the things it connects. It just is the connection between all things. So I'd like to show a little bit of an example while I've still got you. Pause if you need to, but get to starting position. And I want to show you a little sneak peek into level 2 Reiki. Level 2 Reiki is sending it at a distance. We are going to learn a new technique the other day. This kind of helps people get into the starting position, getting their energy flowing between their hands. And remember, we're focusing on the space in between the hands. We're relaxing our breathing. We're bringing our mind space into the space between our hands and allowing our mind to rest there. And we're gently allowing the energy to manifest there as a gentle warmth. So take a minute and think about any problem spot you've been having, either recently or something that has been bothering you for a while, you know where it is. And if you don't have a spot, just think of your stomach, because our stomachs are always churning while processing our business. And remember that spot and keep the energy in your hand and allow as much of your thought and your processing and your critical mind to pass away, and really just revel in the spot in between your hands. Let it glow like a fire. Even imagine a fire there, I like to, or like a little radiant sun right in the middle of it. And picture its radiance flowing through your hands and off into the distance. Picture beams of light peeking out between your fingertips. Whatever you got to do to make it seem like you actually got something going on between them. And when you are feeling at a good spot, a resonant peak of the energy that you're feeling, quick think of the spot and put it there. Feels a little better, right? Yeah, there was no cord connecting that. There was no road that needed to be paved to transfer the energy from one spot to the other. And that's how the Reiki can move, and that's how it can manifest from point to point. And so that's in Reiki, when we say we're sending good vibes, we're sending Reiki wherever we want, whenever we want, without the need for an intermediary. So thanks, guys. That's a little bit on Reiki and quantum physics. Thank you to the people who have been sticking with me. We are continuing to gain subscribers. I'm very happy. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and leave a like and comment if you have any requests for videos you'd like to see. Thanks, guys.